Hi, Gary. We're live. Producer Chaos.
No, producer so straightforward and boring.
Producer Chaos. Sounds like it does sound like a superhero, doesn't it?
A little bit, so I can produce things.
Able to mess up a podcast in one stroke.
No! God dang it. That is not my calling card.
I'm teasing.
My brand.
I'm teasing.
All right, Chuckles.
You ready?
Yes.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3.
Coming to you from the poorly painted
Yeah.
studios in Cumming, Georgia, this is the Chuck and Z Show. And now, here's Chuck and Z.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Chuck and Z Show. Of course, I'm Chuck.
I'm Z.
We got producer Chaos with us again tonight.
God dang it. I don't want to be known as that, Chuck.
Producer Sharon.
Producer Chaos.
Oh, no. Producer straightforward and boring and knows what she's doing.
She's like, I want to be producer competent.
Yes.
No, you're doing a great job. It's just funny because you get, you do wonderful, but because I am who I am, whenever you get like
Frazzle?
flustered, I just like have to lean into it.
Add on to it.
I have to. It's so much
You're
fun.
like my brother. I'm telling Mom.
I'll take that. Yeah.
I'm telling Mom.
I'll take that. Well, I'm really excited. We got a great show tonight. Z, tell the people.
Yeah. So we have our guest, Gary Gropp, on, who is a music producer. He has a studio in Augusta, Georgia, as well as a motorcyclist. So really excited to talk to him about his experience with riding as well as what he does for a living. So that's exciting.
Augusta.
Yeah.
That's damn near South Cackalack. That's damn near my neck of the woods. Yeah, I'm interested in. Because I used to go to Augusta all the time. Although
Yeah.
going to Augusta is like, I mean, I don't know about. It's been a long time, right? It's been a while. But going to Augusta is like, all right, there's a street,
Yeah.
like a main area, but there's not a lot
There's not a lot
unless you're
there.
on the outside, right? But what am I talking about? We didn't have a street. Ours was dirt.
Well, I mean, that's where the famous Masters tournament is played.
It is. I think that's about all that's there. That and Gary. So we'll bring Gary on in a minute. But I wanted to bring up a topic real quick and just get you guys' thoughts on it because it was something that was interesting to me. Someone sent it to me the other day,
Okay.
and it was an article that the headline was couples who post about each other a lot on social media are typically insecure.
Okay.
And I got sent that like 3 times. Like, hey, Chuck, are you insecure about your relationship?
Oh, no.
And I was like, what do you mean?
Post a lot about your relationship?
Well, I think I post a lot about us and you.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't. So it's funny because I immediately started wondering, what's the point of this article, right? Like, I don't understand these articles. I've never understood why someone would write this article. So I go and I read it. And almost immediately, the first thing in it is, I can't be the only one who can't stand the couple that does this and that. So I immediately go, was that why you're writing this?
Hater.
Because, right, it's like you're being a hater. But I'm curious, because I haven't really pondered that. Because when I see people that are happy, I don't typically root against them. So I don't normally think in terms of, oh, I bet they're miserable.
Yeah.
Right now, I've met some couples that post a lot about themselves on social media, and they tend, like sometimes you're like, yeah,
That's not
they
you guys.
they argue a lot, right? But I'm just curious, is that a common? So my thing is A, do you think the premise of that article is accurate, and B, do you think that that's a common thing?
I don't know. Just like in general, I think that people assume that it's whatever's on social media is fake. So they assume that you showing, I guess, attention and being that, showing that type of emotion on social media, it's fake. Like,
Okay.
you're trying to live up to what you perceive, what you want people to think about you.
See, I get that, right? But when you write an article to attack it, so here's where I'm trying to get to. Is this a confession on some level? Because that's kind of how I see these things. Like when someone creates here's a problem I have with something that somebody does, but nobody else was talking about it and doesn't really have anything to do with this person individually. It's more like, well, this is how I would be. If I were posting a lot about someone, it would be because I'm insecure. And I think, right. Yeah. And I think they lay that on other people.
Probably.
Right?
Yeah, probably. But I do know that, like, in my mind, as a young adult growing up, seeing and not being in, like, the best relationship that I could be in, I did, kind of have jealousy towards, or just not an understanding towards people that were super secure and happy in their relationships. Like, it was, for me, in the back of my mind, I'm like, what's the catch? Like, that can't be them all the time. But then, in our relationship, I feel like that's us all the time. So it's kind of like, oh, well,
yeah.
Now the shoe's on the other foot.
Yeah, maybe that's. I think I'm getting close to what it is. It's they want that, but can't obtain it, so they don't like it.
Probably.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Because I feel very lucky. This has not been like any other relationship I've ever had. So I it's funny because my comment is, I don't think I'm insecure when I'm posting about you. I kind of think I'm bragging.
It's a lot to brag about there, Chuck.
All right.
So silly.
Well, that was my little thing that I was curious what your thoughts would be on.
Okay.
But you ready to bring Gary on?
Yeah. So welcome Gary Gropp to the show. Hey, Gary.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Absolutely.
Man, that hair.
It's the best hair.
So I'm bald. So I have a lot of reason to be jealous.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
I'm
this
not.
is what happens when you get sick of your haircuts.
I wish my hair would grow that long. Like, I literally want to have hair that long, but it just won't grow. So awesome meeting you over the air virtually. And
Yeah, nice to meet you.
absolutely. So tell us a little bit about you and what you do.
I run a small recording studio here in Augusta. Well, I'm technically in South Carolina in the North Augusta side, but mainly work with just a lot of local artists, some regional artists, different people from. I've gotten some people from all over the country at different times, but mainly just do this. Got into riding on the street a couple years ago during the pandemic, and now I ended up getting a Harley and going cross country and back. So that's about all I can think of right now.
Wow.
Did you ride before that?
I rode dirt bikes starting at age 5 until about 21, and then stopped for a while, would ride my little brother's bike occasionally. And during the pandemic, kind of got talked into buying a little Honda, 1100 Shadow. And it was in pieces. I put it back together and kind of learned how to ride on the street on it. And took it up to Tail of the Dragon last year and liked the trip, didn't like the bike. It just didn't hold up and I was getting pushed all over the place. I couldn't keep up on the highway. So came home, and within 2 weeks I bought a Harley and decided that I wanted to plan a cross country trip.
Wow.
All
That's
right.
pretty quick for just getting on a bike or just, purchasing a new ride. So, and I'm surprised that an 1100 Honda can't keep up.
What year was it?
It was a 2003, but
Okay.
it was, it's a carbureted bike. And
That's true.
Yeah.
I'm not necessarily the best mechanic, and it was kind of in pieces when I bought it, and I put it together. I paid $1,000 for it.
Oh my
So-
gosh.
Hey,
I put it together and got it running and kind of just figured out what I wanted.
Yeah,
some of those are the best bikes.
for sure.
It sounds like yours you were ready to be done with, but some of those old beater bikes are some of the best bikes just to tool around on. Did you keep it? Do you still have the old bike?
I sold it. I kept it around for about a month or two, and there was no reason to have it anymore. I wasn't going to ride it because I bought a 2019 Road King,
Nice.
and there just wasn't any reason to get back on the Honda.
Night and day on the Road King.
Very much so. I liked having some actual like passing power and like feeling like the bike was stable and secure on the road.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah,
the
no.
Honda that I had been through the ringer, so it was kind of ready to go on to somebody else.
All right. So what year was you? 2003?
3.
Yeah, it was
What-
2003.
What year's the Road King again?
2019.
2019. And what color did you go with?
Black.
All right. Vivid black or matte black?
Vivid black.
Nice. Tough guy black.
Tough guy black.
Yeah, just the standard. Well, I wasn't really sure because I almost bought a special. I almost bought a new special, but the dealership I was dealing with at the time it didn't work out. And then I found this one up in Charlotte, and it was just a used one. And I was like, well, I'm not positive that I really want a bike this big, so I'll just buy a used one for now and find something more specific to me later. And I've enjoyed it now. I'm just trying to figure out if I'm going to keep it for a while, or if I'm going to upgrade it, or if I'm going to trade up to a Road Glide. Or,
Okay.
You are. You are. It'll happen.
It's either trade up to a Road Glide or put the FXR piece fairing on the front of the Road King.
There you
Ooh,
go.
That's nice. That's a good idea too.
I think that's the
And
only
just
thing.
go crazy with the engine.
Yeah. I think that's the only thing that the Road King is missing is the big fairing.
The fairing.
You know, because it has the bags, it has the power, it's big enough. It just doesn't have that fairing. And what's really crazy is once you get used to a fairing, it really is a difference when you're riding on a naked bike versus having, you know, that protection. Because I tried out so I started out with the Sportster 883, which, you know, naked, nothing special about that bike, but it was amazing, and I rode it for 4.5 years.
There's a lot special about that.
I mean, it was a beautiful bike, but what I'm saying is it's like bare bones. It
had
just
a
your
tuner,
basic.
It had
So I
performance
put
exhaust,
a tuner on
had
it.
white walls.
I did all that, right?
Yeah.
But like on the actual bike, when you buy it from the stock bike, it's just
It's a basic. You're right.
You don't even have like a gas. You can't even tell how much gas you're using.
It's kind of funny when you bought that bike, you bought the Iron 883 specifically because of how it looked. You
Yes.
were like, that bike looks so good.
Yeah.
And then like after you had it for a minute, you're like, it's so basic.
No, I had it for 4 years.
That's true.
So I didn't know anything different. And I actually didn't ride anything else because I really wanted to get to know that bike. But going from that to like the Softail, I got the Lowrider S, and that was like all the bells and whistles. And I put cruise control on it, so it even was, you know, even better.
Yeah, God bless cruise control.
I know.
Yeah, no joke.
So how did you decide to ride cross country, and why?
The idea somehow got in my head, and I just decided to do it. I've wanted to travel. I've put off traveling for a long time and just haven't. And I just said, screw it. This sounds something crazy to do. Why not try it?
Yeah, that's awesome.
And then I bought the bike, and I was going to try and do it last year, and weather just never worked out, and planning didn't have enough time to do it. So I kind of spent the first like 3 or 4 months of the year just kind of planning out the trip and kind of gridding it out and kind of getting an idea where I wanted to go, and then just took the leap. I really don't know what gave me the idea or why I wanted to do it. I just did it.
Yeah. That's awesome. So when did you take this trip? Just this year then?
Yeah, I went in May.
Okay.
I started here in Augusta, rode down to Tybee Island, and made it all the way out to Santa Monica 9 days later. I stopped. I went and just kind of toured through the country and kind of saw a few different sites.
Nice.
Went down through New Orleans. I went out to Austin, Texas for a day, then Roswell, New Mexico, Phoenix, Arizona, then to LA. I stayed in Malibu for a couple days, and then ended up going to Vegas before heading to the Grand Canyon, Monument Valley, $1 Million Highway. I did Independence Pass in Colorado, which was really cool. Um, and then stayed in Manitou Springs the night before I did Pikes Peak. And after I did Pikes Peak, I just kind of did about a 1,500 mile blast back home over 3 days.
Holy cow.
Wow.
That's awesome. Did you get any iron butts in there or no?
No, I should have. Like
Yeah.
the night coming back, I had done. I'd been on the road for like 13 hours from just outside of Kansas City to Nashville,
Mm-hmm.
and I got in Nashville about midnight, and I got a hotel room. But in hindsight, I should have just like grabbed a Waffle House and a couple of Red Bulls and done the last 6 hours home.
Yeah.
But like I said, the most I did was that like next to last day when I did 700 miles.
That's awesome.
Most of the days I kind of kept it to between like 6 to 8 hours. There were a couple of like 10 and 12-hour days in there, but
Yeah. Wow. So our last podcast, we had a couple who went on a road trip too, and this was her first time. And she's only been riding a few years too. So that's something that I really want to do. Our next big kind of moto trip, and we're not riding there this time, but next time we go to Sturgis, I want to ride. So we just didn't have enough time this year. We just have a lot of different plans. So we do a big birthday trip in February. So we probably have to cut that down a little bit in order to do like a 2-week, take 2 weeks off and go ride. Cause it's not fun I want to see, the sights. I don't want to just blast through, get there.
and that's what I kind of ended up doing was blasting through a lot of the places.
Mm-hmm.
And I did see a lot of the sites, but if I could do it again, and I'm kind of working on the idea of another trip to do it a little bit longer and spend a little bit more time in some of the smaller towns and not be blasting like 8 to 10 hours every single day that I'm riding, trying to get places. Because like when you cut it up a little bit more, I think you can enjoy it a little bit more and not dying from being in the saddle all day.
I know.
Yeah.
I know. As fun as it is, it does wear you out, right?
Oh yeah. Especially
did
if you
you-
get in some of those like areas out west where the wind is super high and you've got the bike just leaned over the whole time for like a couple of hours.
Yeah.
Can only imagine.
So did you have any of the picturesque Forrest Gump moments, like where you're riding next to a lake at sunset or anything like that? Any of those moments where you're like, oh my God, this was worth it?
I do have a picture at the Forrest Gump spot in Monument Valley
Nice.
where he was running in the movie
Thank you,
and turned
Dave.
around. But yeah, there were some just incredible sights. A lot of the coolest stuff there was nowhere for me to pull over and take a picture.
Mm-hmm.
Probably one of the prettiest shots that I got was when I stayed in Monument Valley. I stayed at the what's the place called? There's a little campground right in there. It's called The View. And waking up at like 6 o'clock in the morning to the sunrise over Monument Valley is beautiful. It's just, you can't put words to it. That, and then probably the craziest sight was when I was in Arizona. The day that I went from New Mexico, or from Roswell to Phoenix, was one of the prettiest days on the trip.
Mm-hmm.
But I was also in the rain for about 4 hours of that trip. So I took the scenic route instead of taking the low route and going on 10. So I went through like all the old silver towns in New Mexico and through the mountains in Arizona. But for a while, I was just in trees and had no idea where I was because I've got my headset. My Cardo is the only way that I'm getting directions. I don't have my phone up on my handlebars or anything. It's just in my pocket. So I have no clue where I'm at. And I'm going through these trees, and all of a sudden I look to the left, and it's a clearing out, and I'm on top of a mountain range.
Holy
And
cow.
for as far as I can see are just huge, giant mountains with pine trees on them. And then I just start descending down this mountain. And that was one of the cooler sights because it was, like I said, out of nowhere. I'd just been in the trees for like an hour.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden I pop out and I'm on top of the mountains going, oh, how'd I get here?
That's awesome.
Z and I've had an experience like this when we went to Hawaii for our birthday, not this past year, but the year before. I wanted I wanted to ride.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to ride in Hawaii. It's just one of those bucket list things. And so we were on Waikiki, and there's not a lot of twisties. It's a lot of coast riding. A lot of the roads are fairly tame. Some of the most beautiful things I've ever seen. Like, I know I tell everyone this, but I literally rode through Jurassic Park. Like, we came around a corner and I went, those mountains, oh my God, those are the mountains from Jurassic Park. Like, it's like, seriously, that the sequence where they show the exterior,
Yeah.
that's part of Hawaii. And so we were riding through it, and it's just it's such a weird feeling to be riding through those mountains after, because I mean, that came out in the 90s. That's a movie I've watched so many times.
Yeah.
I've seen that opening shot so many times. Just gorgeous. But in any case, so I started looking for this twisty road, and I was asking people, and locals are like, yeah. So I found one, and the locals are like, yeah, it's twisty, but
We don't ride up there.
we don't ride it. It's not what you think it is. It's not going to be like a lot of fun. And they're like, yeah, whatever. I'm going to have a good time. Because I hear that all the time when I'm looking for twisties. Oh, they don't like the twisties. They don't like and I'm like, they just don't know. So I'm going to ride this road, right? And so we go up the road, and at first it was great. It was nice. But then, I'd say about 40 minutes in, the road started to narrow. And then it went to like a 1-lane road. And then the road started getting kind of chopped up. Like, there were breaks in the gravel. And I was like, oh no, but I'm a man. I'm going to ride this road, right? so we keep riding. And then we come around the corner, and there's just moss. Like, it's just, the road's green. So, but there's nowhere to turn around. So we're like, okay, so we're going to push through this. And then we get up. And as I come around the corner, I see a sign that says road closed. And, there's a cliff here. There's a wall here. And it's a 1-lane road. I'm on a street glide. She's on a lowrider. We have to do a U-turn. I found like this one patch where we could get enough of the bike on it to complete a U-turn. So first of all, we got off the bikes immediately, like, oh my God. Because like, it was at that kind of steep grade where if you drop the bike's just going to slide down the mountain, probably with you with it, right?
That's not good.
No, not good. That would not be a good thing. But anyway, so we start coming down this mountain, and I'm like, I'm like, that was a terrible idea. I'm mad at myself or whatever. But then we come out, and there's this cemetery that's like I think it's a war memorial. It's one of the most beautiful things. Do you remember which one it was?
It's the national. It's the Pacific National Memorial for. It's
Right.
Military.
Right. It's a gorgeous cemetery, but also it overlooks the city. Like, so you get to the edge and you're looking down over the entire city.
Even before that, there was a pretty view.
Yeah, I know. We kept seeing like little hints of it, as we would go by. But so it was a terrible ride, but it was worth it because that was one of the prettiest things I saw. It was just a gorgeous. You could see the city and all the way out to the ocean. It was well worth it, but it was sketchy.
Yeah.
It
It kind of reminded you of like, that picture where you see in Rio de Janeiro where they have like the statue
of the Savior,
of the saint, like
yeah,
high up,
Christ
and
the
then you see
Redeemer.
like the city down below. That's kind of what it reminded me of. Very nice, very fun. But yeah, those mountains, like the hill that he took us on was not a mountain that you ride on. It was a residential like area where people, like rich people, live.
And they're all giving us looks too, like, "What y'all doing?" Although that's probably not how they sound. That's like where I'm from. "What y'all doing around here?" But that'd be funny if that's how they sounded. Like, if like so a Hawaiian guy walked out, and I'm like, and he's like,
Aloha.
"What are you doing?" "Aloha."
Aloha.
"Get the
What
fuck
y'all
off my
doing
property,
over
bro."
So silly.
That'd be pretty frightening.
Yeah. So you live in Augusta. Do you make it out to Atlanta at all?
Here and there, not too much.
Okay.
He makes it to Columbia more than he makes it to Atlanta.
I barely ever go to Columbia.
Really?
Um,
All right.
You stay in your little
yeah,
town.
I kind of stay in my little bubble.
Yeah.
Funny thing with the cross country trip is like that's really the first motorcycle trip I've done.
Oh, for
Other
Wow.
than
real.
just going up to like Cherokee, North Carolina, and doing Tail of the Dragon with the Honda. Um,
Wow.
Go big or go home, huh?
yeah, I just went all in on it. But no, I mainly just stay around here, travel down to the coast a little bit. Atlanta's a funny city when it comes to like working in music, so
Okay.
I don't go up there that often. I end up just staying busy here.
Got it.
Yeah. How did you get into music? Tell me a little bit about that. Was it something you did since you were little?
I kind of fell into it. I learned how to record when I was a teenager, and then I kind of had like a small studio for a short while. Had a really really short lived marriage where I got rid of everything, and then like it wasn't even a full year. Um,
Whoa.
and so I'd gotten rid of everything, and after that, with over a couple friends of mine wanted me to start recording them, just like rapping for fun, and it snowballed out of control.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Like I went from working at a bank to being like a recording engineer and producer full time. So um, it's an interesting life. It's got its ups and downs, but I mean, it did allow me to be able to take a whole month off and go travel around the country. So
Absolutely. Yeah. So what was your favorite the favorite part of your long distance trip, your cross country trip? Like what was the most exciting part of that for you?
I liked not knowing where I was going to be each day. Like the way I planned the trip out, I kind of had a like skeleton itinerary,
Mm-hmm.
but every morning I kind of woke up and booked the hotel for the night. Or kind of waited until later in the day. I liked that kind of just being out and not knowing what I was going to see next.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Probably like road wise, going through Arizona that day was a lot of fun. Going through the desert the next day was not fun.
Okay.
When it was 102 going through Palm Springs, that's not fun.
I know.
Um, when I got to Malibu, I ended up staying right there in Topanga Canyon. So I was right on the boulevard and could just blast through there and go in and hit a lot of the canyon roads and kind of just. One night I went through LA to try and meet a friend of mine out there and kind of just treated the bike like a dirt bike going through like Hollywood. And that was a lot of fun. Um, just lane splitting and lane filtering and just blasting through LA's was really cool.
Okay.
I'm trying to think like
Oh no.
Oh no.
Did we lose him?
I think he
He froze. Yeah.
froze.
So that
Well,
would be really fun to do, I think. I want to know, like, in Roswell, did you go to Area 51 or what, you know?
I don't think Area 51's in Roswell, but that's where one of the big alien incidents happened.
Is it?
Yeah. Which what do you think about that? I know we all touched on aliens before, but what do you think about the most recent disclosures?
That there are?
Yeah, that we have bodies in crafts.
Yeah.
That's what the whistleblower's saying.
There's just too much evidence of people saying that they've seen, bodies, and then the accounts from all of the other like different parts of the world and like the same type of accounting of seeing
Yeah.
similar situations. So that's why I'm always like, too many people that say that they see, have seen these aliens. So it's, no, you're fine.
You're good.
Yay.
We're carrying on. So I wanted to know, like, when you went through Roswell, New Mexico, did you see like any kind of alien cool stuff going on?
not really. I
He's like,
got to
what?
Roswell right as a huge thunderstorm came in, and when I
Okay.
went to eat that night, like the bartender looked at me and goes, "Yeah, it never thunderstorms here. It's super weird." And I'm going, "Oh, of course." When I come in, because as I was getting there, I'd like crested this big hill, and it came out onto this like big beautiful plane. And right as I'm like, oh, it's so pretty, the wind was just like, yep, screw you, and tried to push me straight off the road.
Holy cow.
Like the only weird thing was like the storm itself did have like a weird saucer shape to it, as crazy as it does sound.
Yeah.
But like
That does.
that's just got to be a coincidence. I mean, you get into Roswell and it's just like this little tiny town with all sorts of little alien statues everywhere. I did
Yeah.
stop at the UFO McDonald's and get a picture.
Well, that's
Okay.
what they think. They think that the crash supposedly the two crashes that supposedly happened in Roswell were due to lightning storms.
Mm-hmm.
That's what they say.
So there's this Airbnb that, Doodle on a motorcycle.
Did she go to that one?
Carolyn, she went to that Airbnb that's it's a bunker underneath the ground where you stay. And it's, I don't know, like it's expensive to stay there, but you're like in a bunker staying for the night. Like I don't think I could do that.
I could. That sounds.
I would feel so
awesome.
claustrophobic.
That's in Roswell?
Yeah.
Is it just because? All right, so you're in a house.
Mm-hmm.
There's
It's
walls?
because I can't see what's up there, I think.
You can't see what's up there now.
But I'm above ground. I'm not in the ground.
It's about the thickness of the walls around you.
Yes.
Because right now your walls are about this thick. But
Yeah.
if there's 10 miles of wall,
Yeah.
that freaks you
That
out.
freaks me out.
All right.
And then all the, like, you have to walk down, I don't know how long, like a mile down. I don't know.
I doubt it's a mile. They have a go-kart. They got a shuttle to
They have
you.
a shuttle that takes you there. No. But, I mean, that's always been really cool.
I want to go stay at Jackie Gleason's house.
In
Do you-
New York?
The one that he had
In New York.
Is it Jackie? Yeah, in New York. Is
Yeah.
it? Because apparently Nixon, one day, because they were close, Nixon and Gleason, and apparently Nixon was like, "Hey," and he would be one, right?
Yeah.
Pull
They had
some-
a couple of drinks, and he's
Be
like,
like, "Yo,
you want to see some
you
aliens?
want to see some aliens?" And took Jackie Gleason to see the spacecrafts and the bodies or whatever, and then he had his house built
Yeah.
as a replica of what he saw.
He became super obsessed with them. So he has this,
Oh yeah, I think I have seen that house.
right, in New York. It's a vacation
Yeah.
home, and it's like shaped like a dome, and it has like, it's really cool looking.
I think they're real. I 100% think they're real. I think that they are doing to us the same thing that we do to chimps, which is observe. Like I said before, if chimps all of a sudden set off a nuclear bomb, we'd be like, what the hell's going on with the chimps, right? So I think that the stories are that's when they first really showed up in earnest, was when we set off the first nuclear bomb.
What's going on with the chimps?
I mean, what's up? These dudes, they got nuclear weapons now? So I think...
I just don't understand why nobody seems to care or be alarmed that the fact that we're getting actual government memos and information saying, "Hey, something weird's going on here. We do have UFOs flying around,"
I know.
and everybody's just like, okay, whatever."
What else you got? It's not blowing my skirt up, this alien thing. You mean the whole thing that rewrites everything we thought we knew about human existence?
I know.
Yeah, it's in the news almost every day now, and nobody cares.
I
Ah,
know.
Nobody.
Isn't that crazy?
Every day.
I feel like it's one of those like boy who cried wolf type situations, like where
Yeah.
we know that there's stuff going on, but like they keep trying to hide it from us. They have been hiding it from us for years and years and years, decades. And so now that it's actually like we know that that's possible, we're like, whatever.
my favorite theory is that we're a species with amnesia. I love that philosophical viewpoint that what we know as humanity right now over the last 10 to 20,000 years, 400,000 years, whatever it is just what we know since a reset happened. That
Oh, exactly.
that humans have been around for a lot longer than what we know, and we've been wiped out and reset many times. I imagine that it's not that hard to imagine some species coming here and catapulting us into the future.
Yeah.
Or catapulting us in evolution or whatever. It makes perfect sense to me.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know why it doesn't make sense to anyone else. And I think it's because, I'm going to go back to what I always say. It's because everybody wants to think they're special. They want to think we're the only ones that are sentient. They want to think, well, if I have to take into consideration that there's other conscious beings that are way more evolved than us. Again, I always use the example, imagine if they evolved 1,000,000 years before we did, how much more advanced they would be. But it didn't have to be that long.
Yeah.
It was 10,000 years. It'd be crazy.
Yeah.
Anyways, it makes perfect sense to me that would happen. And yet we're over here like, nah, we're it.
Yeah, we're not really believing it right now.
Now we're it. We're the only special ones.
I know, right?
Anyways.
So, Gary, any cool mainstream artists you've worked with so far? Or?
Most of the stuff, like I said, has been kind of like underground and independent artists. There hasn't been really much mainstream stuff I've done.
Okay.
Like I said, I kind of keep it to more of a local route. I do get some people up from Atlanta. A long time ago, I mixed for like early Young Thug.
Nice.
But that's probably about the most mainstream.
Okay.
Well, when it comes to your music specifically, what are some of your influences? What is your style of music? I mean, what are you trying to say to the world?
I mainly am on the engineering side, to where I don't actually like make or like write very much music myself.
Mm-hmm.
I'm more on like helping people like kind of get the songs that they want put together. I like working in a lot of R&B and like pop music stuff. I've been trying to kind of move a little bit away from doing like trap music as much because it's trap music. But
it's good for highlight reels.
Yeah, it's good for highlight reels, but I'm kind of trying to start working on more stuff that's actually like good for my soul. Because that was one of the things when I got back from the trip, I was like, yeah, I've got to make some changes and get the music stuff changed up a little bit. I've got a R&B group coming in a little bit later tonight, and yeah, that's kind of just where I'm at right now. It's kind of figuring that stuff out and just kind of helping work with some artists. I've got a couple of projects that I'm waiting to get the like final like green light to go forward with, but I'm really, I don't know, I'm just never been the greatest about like self-promotion or bragging about the work I've done.
Well, I mean, obviously your work speaks for itself if you're getting, word of mouth and you're able to keep in business that way. What do people come to Gropp Studios for? Like, what's the sound that you give them?
Mostly people are coming in and wanting to really like high definition, clean vocal sound is one of the main things that a lot of people know me for. That's my biggest like kind of strength is kind of vocal production and just helping people like really kind of mold and craft their song out.
Nice.
Giving people like a good comfortable environment just to kind of vibe out to and be able to like let those emotions go instead of feel tense and not be able to get the song to convey like it needs to.
How's my sound? My sound good?
Your sound's good.
All right. You got an audio engineer over here judging me. I just want to make sure it doesn't sound bad now. Now I'm all like insecure.
Stop. Sorry.
No, it's funny. I imagine producing is always hard because whenever you're listening to an artist, they come in with a vision of what they want to sound like. And a big part of what you do is help them sound like how they should. Does that make sense?
Right.
So, I mean, what are some of the things you look for whenever somebody comes in and they're looking for help? I mean, what are some of the things you go, these are the mistakes a lot of people make, et cetera?
That's good. That's such a vast thing because everybody's so different. Every artist has.
I thought it was a good one.
A lot of people just don't want to speak up and like really sing or really project. That's kind of the biggest issue is people get in and get in front of the microphone for the first time and get really quiet instead of like being big and boisterous like the song requires it. They're just like
Like Shy Ronnie.
You're like, yeah, people do the Shy Ronnie all the time, and you're like, all right, you gotta put your chest into it, like speak up.
Yo, my dick me big.
What's Shy Ronnie? I've never heard of that.
So The Lonely Island.
Oh my God.
Have you heard of that group?
No.
Yeah, I'll show it to you before you leave.
It's with the guys from like what's his name? Adam
Sandberg.
Adam Sandberg
Oh,
from
yes.
SNL.
Yes.
And they did the skits. So they have this whole group. It's
Oh,
him
yes.
and these three other guys or something. And they have all of these parody songs
They're
that are
awesome.
amazing.
I've seen them. I think I remember now. Yeah.
And,
funny.
And Shirani has Rihanna in it.
Oh.
And like he's this really shy guy, and she's like robbing a bank and singing all
Like
kind
Bonnie
of
and
crazy
Clyde.
shit. And he's like, she goes, hit it, Shirani. And he's like,
You can't understand anything he's
but when
saying.
she walks out the room, he drops some pretty decent lyrics. I mean, I guess for a comedy skit, they're decent lyrics. But.
Oh
It's
my
just the fact
gosh.
so loud as soon as she leaves the room, he goes from being like quiet to actually rapping. And it's
Yeah.
Right?
like, why do you not do that when she's here?
Right.
I miss the Lonely Island. That's always one of the things that happens though, and is with these groups is they'll come out with something that everybody loves, but it's like, all right, what's the next thing? What's the next thing?
Yeah.
It's hard to keep up with those types of things, especially as they're older. They're like in their 40s and like, you know what I mean?
That's
So-
not old, everybody.
That
Well.
is that is one of the weirdest things for me.
That's coming from me.
All right, so Gary, I'm 47 years old, and one of the weirdest things for me now is when I watch a huge movie buff. I watch movies over and over again. I like to watch them for the writing, the technical aspect, and all kinds of things. So I watch movies a lot, but I'll watch a movie I watched as a kid, and the main actor will say, "I'm 38 years old in my life," and I'm like, he was 38 in this movie.
Yeah.
I thought he was like 60 when I was a kid.
60?
I was like, no
Oh no,
way,
there's
I'm old.
lots of those. I get that 100%. I
It's-
completely relate with that. I see things now because I'm 38 now,
Yeah.
and I'll see stuff and like look at the cast of Cheers.
Yeah.
They're all
Yep.
in their like late 20s, early 30s.
And they look 50. One of the weirdest things to me,
old.
and I think that there's actually a term for this. It's some kind of psychological effect that I don't remember off the top of my head, but where when you look back at people from, because you were younger when you originally saw them, like
Right.
your brain or because of that era or something,
It's
somehow
because of
you
the-
associate.
It's because of the time that was made, the way they dressed,
It's today though, babe.
all of that.
I'll-
Look at Z. No one
Also,
would
the
ever.
haircut. Haircuts have a big
Yeah.
part.
Yes.
Yeah.
Style. Yeah. Haircut.
But even today, I'll see a NFL player that's 22 and be like, that dude looks like he's
well,
53.
hell, when our son was in basketball, high school basketball, he played on the team. I'm like, what is this 30-year-old doing playing
well-
against these 18-year-olds?
One of my favorite things is like we went to play Gwinnett, I think it was, and Gwinnett's known for like having a really good team. We're in Cumming, Georgia, which they have a really good team at West Forsyth, but we went to go play like the city team, right? Like,
Yeah.
and I'm sitting there in the stands watching these kids walk in, fully tatted,
Sleeves.
sleeves.
I'm like, that didn't
One's
happen
got
in
a
high
kid.
school for me.
It's like, hey, hands the kid off. I gotta go play some basketball. Hands the kid off, and he's like, "Hey, coach, I gotta be done by 10. I gotta be at work." And it's like, why are they playing grown men? And my kid's over there like, "Hi," like we're about to get murdered.
When you look at Z, like she looks amazing. No one would be able to guess her age at all.
Yeah.
At all. Like you defy
Thank you.
everything.
Thanks.
I can
So-
guess it.
Thank
22.
you, Sharon.
Oh, that's right.
Oh,
That's how you
I
do
love
it.
you.
Little lesson for you young bucks out there. Always say 22. The young ones want to be over than 21, and the older ones don't want to be older than 21.
Yeah.
22 safe.
22 safe. So Gary,
Not creepy at all.
R&B. What's another like good genre? I'm trying to change it off of me. What's another? What's your?
She's like, so
You're
Gary,
embarrassed now.
I am.
let's stop talking about how amazing I look.
So what's the most like unique genre of music that you've produced?
Well, you
in
know
the
that
studio?
song 22 by Taylor Swift?
Oh.
Okay.
I'm kidding.
I was about to say, whoa.
What most unique genre?
Yes.
Oh, that's hard because music's really stale right now.
Okay.
Uh,
So you haven't had anything amazing come
There have-
through.
nothing really crazy's come through. There's not a lot like interesting going on in the music right now.
Okay.
Everything's kind of getting recycled.
Yeah.
I don't know. I had some like a couple years ago. I had some kids that came in with some like weird screamo rap that was like a mix of like screamo, like rock emo music
Mm.
and rap that was interesting. They all seemed to like it. I didn't get it, but
Is it
um,
kind of like a Day to Remember?
no, it was kind of like screaming like
It's
that kind of stuff a little bit, but over like these really crunchy, just like trashed out
yeah.
computer sounding beats that just
Huh.
it was interesting. It's kind of hard to describe,
Do you remember that
but
kid? I can't remember his name, but he passed away several years, like a couple years ago. But
21 Savage?
no, he didn't pass away.
XXX.
Oh,
Um,
Triple X.
yes.
Yeah,
What was it?
I
What's
think
his
it's
name?
like XXX Tenacion or something.
Extonation or something like that.
Yes, Extension. So that type of
okay.
like
Yeah, I know what
screaming,
you're talking about now.
you know.
What?
Yeah,
So you're 38. What'd
Yeah.
you grow up listening to?
I was an emo kid growing up. I listened to a lot of rock music. I always listened to a lot of pop music as well, but I listened to like a lot of the underground stuff. I grew up in like the scene downtown in Augusta where we used to have a lot of bands and people coming in and out of town a lot.
Oh, that's cool.
That's kind of what kind of nudged me in the direction of learning music in the first place.
Okay.
Was I too harsh to Augusta earlier?
No, there's nothing here. Augusta's kind of it's just Augusta. It's just where I ended up growing up. Every
If
time
you're-
I've tried to leave, it's kept me.
If you're in a place where when they say we're going to the city, they mean Columbia, South Carolina,
Mm-hmm.
it's a small place.
Oh, it's not that bad. We're bigger than we got almost more stuff than Columbia.
Almost more stuff.
They've come up a little bit. They've
Augusta?
come up a little bit, yeah.
When's the last time you were in Augusta?
I mean, it hasn't been forever, but I see all the stuff online and stuff that they have. Like, when we pass through coming to Columbia, you can see
Yeah.
that
I mean,
they've grown
downtown's
up.
kind of growing, but with that, it's also gotten real violent.
Oh no!
Oh, for real?
Yeah, you don't want it to get too big.
There's like shootings downtown like almost every other day. Like,
In Augusta?
oh yeah,
Over
downtown
what?
Augusta, muggings, anything, all sorts of stuff. It's pretty petty around here.
Just people just trifling, like
Hmm.
people coming through
So
that
what
don't belong there.
other than the Masters, and again, I grew up about 45 minutes outside of Augusta, and I don't know. But outside of the Masters, what's the industry in Augusta? Like what's the big draw to Augusta?
Right now, there's a lot of tech that's going on in Augusta.
Really?
We had like
Mm-hmm.
a cybersecurity center built down on the river, and that's brought a lot of people in that work in just cybersecurity and different like programming and tech stuff. There's a lot of just manufacturing and industrial things around here, like Club Cars based in Augusta,
Yeah.
a bunch of factories and different things like that.
I'm just trying to figure out what the fights are over. I mean, I don't think there's a bunch of nerds fighting downtown Augusta.
No, I think they're just a bunch of losers that are coming through. Like,
Yeah, it's just, downtown's just kind of gotten rough. They don't. Police department doesn't take things very seriously or well in Augusta anymore.
got it. So kind of like Atlanta. So
Downtown, they want to be like Atlanta. A lot of
Yeah.
stuff in Augusta is just trying to mimic what's going on in Atlanta.
yeah, I could see that.
Well, 25 years, maybe they'll get there.
I know. So Gary, like the industry that you're in is pretty unique because I mean, I'm sure there are a lot of sound studios and production studios around, but
Yeah.
they're they have like the cool, like the original ones, the main ones that were happening, like Muscle Shoals, or Sunset Studios. Have you is that something that you want to aspire to get to, where people are coming there for specific sound for their music, or are you just
Yeah,
kind
to
of
an
like
extent. For a while back before the pandemic started, I was supposed to move out to LA and try and get more like on the larger side of the industry out there, but my move date was in May of 2020, and that
Wow.
didn't happen because of obvious reasons. And now LA is
no more?
not the same LA that I wanted to move to.
Right.
But I've been kind of working on building the studio to be a little bit like a boutique for people to come and like get out of the main industry cities. Like one project that I'm kind of like hoping everything goes through and waiting for the green light. The artist has worked in all of the major recording hubs, but wants to do something different and wants to get out of the main like standard way the industry works, and being in just like a normal studio and come to like a smaller, like, because my place is an old house that's just been kind of gutted and converted over time.
That's cool.
And trying to get to that towards more of like a destination recording studio to come to.
Yeah, like Muscle Shoals. Like people
Yeah.
go there literally for the specific sound that they can produce out of there. So that's pretty cool.
Have you seen that documentary, by the way, on Muscle Shoals? It's really good. If you haven't,
I think I've seen parts of it. I haven't watched any of the like music documentaries in a while.
Yeah,
The
come
big
on,
one that I
man.
watched was Sound City.
Mm-hmm. That's
So-
a good one.
So what do you? All right. So motorcycles, music. What else? What else? What else do you do outside of that?
Motorcycles, music, cars. That's about
Yeah.
all that I do.
What? So you're into cars. What? Tell me about that.
I just kind of grew up with them. My dad kind of got me into cars when I was younger.
Foreign, domestic.
I like Japanese cars, and he used to race Vipers with Dodge for a while, so he's
Nice.
always kind of grown up playing with those. Um, right now, I drive a 2016 370Z Nismo edition.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
I like to go and just play and slide around and be a little hooligan in the car more so than on the bike. On the bike, I take things a little bit more serious since I can die a little bit easier.
Right.
I think it's the opposite with me. I'm crazier on the bike than I am in the car.
I don't think that's.
No,
No, it's true, but I don't think that's good.
I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I do wail on my vehicle a little bit, but I would say when it comes to
Going fast.
I feel more comfortable on the bike.
Yeah.
I really do. I feel more comfortable at high speed on the bike than I do in a vehicle.
Mm-hmm. I could see that.
Yep.
Yeah. So what's next for your bike? So you're not going to get a Road Glide yet. So if you were to work on the motor, like what would be some of the upgrades?
We lost him
Oh.
again.
Oh, he's coming back.
There you go. I was just asking you about upgrades to your bike. Like, so what's next on the Road King?
Uh, nothing for a little while. I may work on it during the winter. I'm kind of waiting to see what goes on because with the like release of that new CVO,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of people don't like that new Road Glide front, but I kind of do. Um,
Okay.
I want
Early
to see.
adopter.
I want to see if they're going to
Early
put it
adopter.
into the new Road Glides coming on in the like in next year.
Mm-hmm.
If I decide not to go that route, I'm kind of either going to like upgrade and go to a Road Glide, or I'm going to just go full like do either a 124 or a 128 build,
Okay.
and probably go with the FXRP like fairing on the front, and then just go with some sort of crazy paint job and just kind of have fun and just build the bike out.
Nice.
No, I'm not an evangelical when it comes to. Let me start that again.
Yeah. I'm a little
Listen, welcome to the drunk episode. Me. I am not an evangelical. I got it. Evangelical when it comes to a lot of things. But when it comes to motorcycles, I do tend to be a little preachy. So I'm going to give you my opinion on that.
Okay.
Now, you do whatever you want. It's your money. And I always say, like, everybody, people come over like, why'd you do this with your bike? Hey, I didn't see you clock in yesterday. And until you do, don't tell me what to do with my bike. Right? So,
Yeah.
only my opinion. Okay? I would not buy a CVO.
Okay.
Oh no, not. I don't want a CVO. I'm waiting to see if the new fairing and everything goes over to the next model year.
Gotcha. I think it will. That fairing is going to carry over for sure. In my opinion, as much as I understand the prestige and the heritage of owning a quote unquote CVO,
Mm-hmm.
you can buy a Road Glide ST or a Road Glide Special and put every single thing that you could get on a CVO
And more.
and more on that bike and spend less money than what that CVO is stock.
Yeah.
The
Oh,
only
yeah.
thing you're not going to be able to get, even though you probably could get it the following year, is the limited paint they have for the CVO
Mm-hmm.
and whatever the special badging is. But outside of that, you could take a less money,
Mm-hmm.
a lot
Oh,
less
yeah.
money, and build you a motherfucker.
Yeah.
You
Well,
know,
that's
they
also why I'm thinking about just putting the FXRP fairing on and building the hell out of this one.
Yeah.
Cheers
Because
to that, brother.
Yeah.
I mean,
Cheers.
I could either just build this engine all the way out or go for like a crate 131 or 135.
There you
If
go.
if
135.
if you do the
He said the
135, you don't have an option but a crate. What's on that Road King now? What's the engine on that year model?
107 on it now.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah, you can't build
dude,
it
you
up to a
need-
131.
You need something.
Yeah,
You
I can
can't
only
on
go
the
up to like
107?
1.
Oh, you can only do the 131 crate.
Yep.
I'd have to
So-
do for 131. I could go up to like the 124 zipper kit
I would do
or the
that.
128 SNS kit.
SNS.
I would
Yeah,
either go, just in my opinion, I would either go with the SNS or the
same,
zipper
Same.
on your bike versus a crate. Even though I think the crates are great, the crate's great.
Crates are great.
The crates are great, but all you get is the M8. No, I'm just kidding. All right, so the sorry. You can't on the crate. It is what it is. Now you can modify it after the fact, but whenever you build up from a 114 or a 117 to a 131, you can play with the engine more.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I prefer that. But if you have a 107, that's not an option.
Yeah. So I've ridden a 107, and they're pretty.
They're zippy.
You know, they're okay. But if you can get out of the 107 and get to some higher CIs, I'd
128
suggest-
or 124 is what I would go with on that bike.
Yeah.
What's the dry weight on that? Is it six?
Kind of leaning towards the 124 zipper kit.
Yeah. I think those bikes are what, like a Road King's like what, 750? 750 pounds, somewhere around there?
I think it's 830.
Is it 830?
Yeah, it's pretty big.
Yeah. You definitely need some more torque.
Mm-hmm.
You need
Oh yeah. Especially when it's loaded down. When I've got the tour pack on it and
Yeah.
the big luggage bag on it and everything, it could use it.
and you're adding a fairing. So, yeah.
Yeah.
So do you ride with anybody other than just kind of solo riding down in Augusta?
I've got a couple friends that I'll go ride with, but most of my friends don't ride. And I kind of just take off at weird times, so I haven't really made too many like riding buddies or anything like that around here.
All right. Well, we'll need to come and get a ride in. We need to ride together one of these days.
Yeah, I need to hit y'all up when I come up to Atlanta sometime.
Yeah, I don't know if you've ridden the North Georgia mountains.
Not really. I've gone like when I had the Honda, I went up towards like Cherokee and like I said, Tail of the Dragon in that area, but not so much North Georgia.
Yeah. So you went kind of through, but we have some great spots up here that have amazing riding. Yeah. That's like the Dragon, but it's not as crowded as the Dragon on some days.
Yeah, I ad nauseum. Sorry to everyone that I've said this so many times. I love the Dragon, but it's more of an endurance test. It eventually it's like okay.
Boring.
Eventually you're just like okay.
Like, all right, let me get through this.
Whereas I think you can get the best parts of what you would experience on the Dragon on Blood Mountain and such as Wolfpen Gap, and it's a 30 to 40 minute investment, and you can ride it many times, and in addition to that, there's not a million people on the road.
Yeah.
Sometimes it gets a little crowded.
It's crowded
and
sometimes.
every now and then you'll get behind Jim Bob in his red truck who wants to go 10 miles an hour, but for the most part, you get to really ride the road, and I personally. I enjoy that investment. It does help that it's 45 minutes from me too.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I guess the point is, Gary, if you want to go ride the North Georgia mountains, hit us up and we'll take you up there and show you all the little cool roads in that area. It'd be a good
Oh
time.
yeah, I'll pick you up on that.
Now, a quick question though. You're in North Augusta, which is South Carolina, not necessarily Georgia. Do you wear your helmet?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I get shit every time I go back home. I'm originally from South Carolina, as I said earlier. And when I go home, everybody's like, why are you wearing a helmet? You like your face or something?
Like, yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, I kind of like my face and my brain.
So Gary, when you're riding, do you like braid your hair, or how do you?
No, I've got one of the hightail
You
pouches
do?
for the
Do
back of
you
my
really?
helmet. So it
That's
just like
awesome,
tucks right into it, and when I take my
dude.
helmet off, it falls right out, and
You
it
s-
doesn't get messed up.
you so need to promote hightail hair on your
Even
page.
dudes, because
I mean,
it's
even
mostly
dudes
females.
can wear hightail. I'm gonna tell
Yeah.
Jennifer when I talk to her next time. I'm like, do you know that you have a guy that wears your?
Wow.
Because she'd be so
Yeah, the thing
excited.
works great. I got to get another one because this one's kind of worn out. The
Yeah.
edges have cracked on it
I
after
don't.
a few thousand miles.
That's so cool, though. She'd be so excited to know that you wear hightail.
I don't have any special products for my bald ass head.
Yeah, no.
Your beard.
But that was
and
also a
it's-
thing too, when I'd be in like gas stations or whatever. People would be like, "How do you have your hair in that helmet and it doesn't look crazy?" I'm like,
I know.
"Out." Yeah,
That's perfect.
I will tell you
that thing
something
looks great. I love it.
along those lines. I'll
Awesome.
tell you something that was fun about watching your journey specifically.
What?
So when my wife first started riding, I was like, "Hey, so we need to get you a helmet," and she was like, "Yeah, I'm not wearing a full face helmet." And I was like, "Why?" And she's like, "She might
That's
get mad."
not why. That's not why I said it.
She-
She's gonna say something that's completely
It's
not the reason.
You 100% said
I
this
will
to
let
me.
him. I will let him have this, Sharon.
You said this to me at one point. 100%. You said, "Well, because it messes my makeup up."
That's what I said.
You 100%
I
said
said
that at
because
one,
it was claustrophobic. with
and
the
it messes
helmet.
my makeup up.
All right. I will plead the fifth on this.
She's not gonna get away with it. She knows.
All right,
she
so-
knows she said that.
All right. So go ahead.
Anyways, so after she took the class and almost did a stoppie, and when you do this and you see nothing but pavement,
Yeah.
and she's immediately like, "All right, I'm getting a full face helmet," right?
Yeah,
But I watched her over about a year and a half figure out how to do her makeup when she wears a helmet, and it blows my mind.
It's the same. It's the same way I do my makeup every
She
day.
pulls her helmet off and her makeup's perfect. But Sharon,
time.
will
Every
you
time.
will you attest? Most women struggle with that.
Truth.
They do.
I do.
But I watched her go through the process of figuring out how do I do that. And at first it was like she pulled it off and like this area was great. But then like the cheeks were like washed out.
But listen, it's hard to be a woman and try to look nice and ride. But like when you have something like Gary's hair and the hightail, like you can do the best you possibly can. Like some particular products will keep your makeup set
Yeah.
and not move. But
It is a struggle. You're right. Like every time I'm on the bike, I'm like, God, how do I look good and ride?
Well,
How do I do both?
they
so
should
silly.
have like a low tail for your beard there.
A low tail?
Hello, Tell.
hello, Dale.
I love
For
it.
beards in particular.
I love that.
That would be
Oh my
great.
God. I got to tell her. That's hilarious.
I snorted.
A low tail. So Gary will
A
ride with
low
the
tail.
high tail and a low tail.
Gary
You
just
need to grow your beard out a little bit more, Gary.
big wrap cloth
I
all
like
the way
having a
around your
neck.
helmet.
You like having a neck?
A low
Okay.
tail.
And now I'm going into like where he can like braid his hair onto his beard and like, all right, so I'm good.
Y'all are killing me.
I'm dying. All right. So next is you coming up here to ride with us because
Yep.
we can show you the mountains. It's gonna be fun.
Yes.
So that'd be
Yes,
really
I'm down
cool.
for it.
And we have a really cool, Atlanta moto scene here. It's it's eclectic. We have we have some hipsters. We have, our Harley riders. We have some MC clubs. But what's really cool about our community is like, for the most part, we all get along, and it's, just enjoyment of the ride. We enjoy looking at each other's bikes and like, just talking about the bikes and what they mean to us and just having a good time. So
Yeah, I actually, if I can, I want to talk about that for a second because I think that's one of the really cool things about the scene that we have here in Atlanta. Because when you and I first started riding in Atlanta, it wasn't like that. It's changed over the last several years in that when we first started riding, it was like you had the group of people that only rode the English bikes and the people who only went to the Barber Vintage Festival. And you ride a Harley.
right.
What are you riding? oh, what's the skull on your shirt for? You know, those kind of people.
Mm-hmm.
And then you had like the straight up, it ain't a Harley, it ain't a motorcycle. and then you had the guys that were on sport bikes, right? But the cool thing that I've noticed over the last, I would say 4 to 5 years is like your bike night. When we go to Delita's bike night, every type of bike is represented. Even scooters, like all the way down to like scooters, all the way up to, you know, you got a guy parking a Challenger or a Dark Horse right beside, you know, a performance bagger.
Yeah.
You got some folks there on trikes. You got people there on Honda Civics. Oh, excuse me, Gold Wings. You have you have people on pretty much every. If it has reverse, it's not a bike. I'm sorry. Anyways, you
I
have
will
people.
say that riding across the country, Gold Wings were the least likely to wave back.
Okay.
That's because they're not doing it for that reason, bro. That ain't why they're ain't about your motorcycle scene. That I'm telling you, I love. We've got a friend who rides a Gold Wing, and I give him shit every time he backs it up. I'm like, is that guy reverse? And he's like, yeah. I was like, that's a Civic, bro. Anyways, all right, but you know, you have every type of bike, every type of MC. You have all different types of MCs that show up. I just like the fact that it's starting to elevate past that tribal part.
Yeah.
It's still there somewhat. It's still there
always gonna be
somewhat.
there.
But that to me is starting to feel like the fringe of the community.
Yeah.
Whereas most people are here to support each other, help each other. We just want to talk about bikes. We just want to ride bikes. We just want to enjoy motorcycles. I don't have time for all that other drama. Let me just ride my motorcycle and have a good time. I like that vibe. I like that that's where it's headed.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really do dig that in Atlanta right now.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Gary, we went over an hour. Thank you so much, man, for coming out and doing the podcast. I've really enjoyed talking with you. I definitely think you got to come ride the North Georgia Mountain with. You got the invite.
Yeah.
It's out there.
Yeah. So come hang.
Yeah. Definitely need to come up there and do that because I'm kind of bored with the roads around here a little bit.
Yeah.
South Carolina's a little flat.
Well, in this area, like around like Aiken and kind of around our lake and area, where we've got a lot of hills and actually a lot of like good, fun, twisty roads to go play on.
Oh, do you? Okay.
But
You'll have to show us some of those.
yeah, you'll have to come up and I'll take y'all out and go play because I've got about a 2.5 hour loop that I'll go and take around here.
Nice.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, we'll come check that out for sure.
Yeah, we
But
will.
yeah, definitely find some more roads and start exploring because after the big trip, now I'm kind of like planning more and trying to make more excursions out just to be on the road as much as possible.
Yeah. Do you ever like want to go to like any of the rallies or anything like that?
I do. I want to go to Sturgis, but I'm probably going to end up doing that next year.
Okay.
We're going.
Yeah. We're going this year. We went last year. It was our first year ever. And this year we're going. We have a house that we rented with a few friends. Next year, if we go, it would probably be less. It would be more of like a journey to get there because I actually want to ride there this
Yeah.
time.
Yeah, this year the
Yeah,
Piss
that's what I
Pirates.
want to do. I want to run out there.
This year, yeah, the Piss Pirates are gonna be like, y'all shipping your bikes. Yes, we're shipping our bikes. That ain't how you do it, man. You sit on that hard ass seat for 1,500 miles. That's what you do. What are you doing shipping? You ain't.
Stop!
That's how they dogs
Okay, that's the
are.
one thing. Oh, you ask upgrades. I have to get a new seat. I got one of the
LaPera.
road sofas
I
for
was
this
about to
trip.
say, for my money, I've never had a better seat than LaPera.
So you have a Saddleman Road sofa?
Oh yeah, and I hate that thing so much.
You hate it?
Oh,
So-
it never broke in. It's got like 8,000 miles on it now, and it's
Holy
just
cow.
hard as a
Still
rock.
stiff? Yeah, try out if you have an opportunity to try on a LaPera seat.
Yeah, I've
That's
seen
my-
a lot of good things about those. I've been looking at like the LaPeras and the Mustangs.
Yeah. The LaPera and the Mustangs are very comparable, but LaPera is my favorite. They have and you can customize them to be like super cool. So
I'd say LaPera first, Corbin second. Although Corbin's an investment. You got like 3,000 miles before that thing starts to feel good. At least.
yeah. But it
The
was
whole
really
trip,
cool.
I kept waiting for the road saddle or the road sofa to
Road
like
sofa.
actually like
Feel like a
become
sofa.
comfortable. Like everybody said, they're like, oh, it's gonna be great after so long, and then like when you're sitting in the seat and you're just kind of like moving the whole time as you're going down the road.
Yeah, that's not comfortable.
No.
I can only imagine the introduction. They call this motherfucker a sofa. Shit
No,
feels like
it
a
is
cinder
not.
block.
So silly.
Hey, Gary, listen, brother. Do me a favor. How can people follow you? How can they find you? What's your website? If somebody wants to come get something produced, how do they do that?
My website is grophouse.com. And then on Instagram is mainly where a lot of people find me. It's just at Grophouse on Instagram. Pretty simple. I keep them pretty basic across the board.
Well, thank you so much for coming on the show, Gary. I've truly enjoyed the
Thank you for
conversation.
y'all. I'm talking to y'all.
And I'm looking forward to riding with you, man. It's going to be a good time.
Yeah, I look forward to it. Thank you.
All right, Z. Do
All
your
right.
thing.
Well, everybody, thanks for joining. Remember to like and
Please.
subscribe. And we'll see you next week.
All right. Take care, everybody.
All
Bye.
right. Bye.